What is going on, everybody? It's Jay, aka Summer Story here, back with another Phantom Parade showcase video. And this is the first out of 3 showcases we'll be doing for Summer YUJI or Heaven Piercing Strike YUJI Itadori. And we're doing the A0 showcase, and I'm gonna just spoil y'all on this. I am not doing the unit overview, like the kit overview, 3 times. I'll explain what the SP awakenings are as we go through the video, but going through the whole kit, this is a one and done ordeal. I feel like it'll get pretty annoying if I do 3 videos straight and I'm explaining the kit in each showcase. So we're gonna dive in because YUJI is a very simplistic unit. Like, this isn't a unit that has like a ton of depth like the previous releases in the game. I would say units like Green Nanami and Red Kenjaku have way more depth than YUJI in terms of having to understand their general game plan. So YUJI skill 1, Body Blow, which is basically the exact same as Season 3 YUJI's Body Blow, except this one doesn't Black Flash. It's a very simple one-hit physical technique strike, and it boosts his crit rate, and when he's in the zone state, it gives him plus 10 CE. So that's pretty helpful for his A0 status, at least after you hit a Black Flash, because you will possibly run into issues, more often than not, when you're very low on CE, and this will be the skill that kind of brings you back from the dead, so to speak. Next skill will be Crush You Flat. Now, this skill, you're going to see me use it at the start of every single one of my runs. This is your main bread and butter starter skill, okay? This increases your Black Flash rate for 3 turns, and it also has a pretty decent multiplier for damage. And also, when you're in your zone state, it increases your ultimate gauge fill rate alongside all the Black Flash rate stuff. So it's a decent skill. And plus, you're kind of going to need it to really get your Black Flash game going, so start every fight with this. If you're not starting it with the crit rate increase, you're going to start it with the Black Flash rate increase. No shame in your game with that. Now, next will be his skill 3. Now, his skill 3 is actually really, really strong. So he applies 100% break damage increase to himself, which when we go into the actual runs, you will see that he decimates break bars, like to a ridiculous degree. At some point, I was like, oh my god, I'm getting flashbacks to Naobito break loops before. It's at 850% heat tech, which is insane for scaling. I just remember Max G and his 700%. If we go to Max G real quick, my boy has a 700% on his, so we have a pretty nasty skill 3 off rip for this YUJI. And when you're in the zone state, it also applies a 15% damage taken increase debuff. It's not the craziest debuff in the world, but it's still a debuff on top of a very strong skill with increased break damage. And next we have its ultimate, Summer Fever. Now, this one actually has a pretty ridiculously high multiplier for a taijutsu skill, and it also has a guaranteed Black Flash on the final hit. Now, I don't think it happens during this video in specific, but he can Black Flash on the punches before the final hit. It's rarely happened to me. I believe it's only happened for me once off camera, but I have seen him Black Flash off of this ultimate before the final hit. And I've also seen him Black Flash off of skill 2. So he can Black Flash on multiple skills. It's just this has a ridiculously low rate. This one can't. This one is your main skill. Like, if you're starting out with this one, you're spamming this skill. Your guys are going to see me spam skill 3 like it's no tomorrow. But his ultimate also applies a damage taken increase debuff. So all in all, he's a basic unit, all right? You buff yourself, your Black Flash buff, right? And then you punch things in the face and hope for a Black Flash. That's really the game plan. Buff your Black Flash rate, punch things in the face, hope you profit. That's really how this character works. It doesn't get any more simple than that. Obviously, he has the Sukuna's Vessel passive, so he has resistance to poison, soul damage, and frostbite. He has instant death nullification, so he's really, really good. He can obviously also attack the soul, so RIP any Mahito bosses. And his zone in state at A0, it's pretty decent. So it's a 50% P-Tech buff for 4 turns. It can be overwritten when reapplied, so it doesn't stack. And it also gives him 10 CE, which is important to his general game plan, because if he's not black flashing semi-often, you'll have to like loop back into skill 1 to retain your curse energy levels. But all in all, if you can get a decent loop going, you'll be fine in the CE department. And on top of that, he also reduces 3 different debuffs by 5%, which is physical technique decrease, physical technique damage taken increase, and curse technique damage taken increase. So he's nerfing debuffs applied to himself and buffing himself. Now, this is most likely not going to be noticeable for the average player. This is going to be noticeable for the average player. And that's kind of it for YUJI's general kit. He's, again, like I said, he is one of those units where it's like, he has a very clear-cut game plan, and you don't need to really think that hard to use him. It's just a matter of, is he going to Black Flash, and is everything going to, work out okay? So we'll dive into the showcases for floors 85, 89, and Limited Tower Floor 4, since those are what I've been playing around the most, and I've already posted the sweep video. So let's simply just dive into the A0 showcase. So for this first run on floor 85, this was my initial test. Oh yeah, and also because I'm doing a post commentary for this video, I can include the fact that I forgot to bring up YUJI's Curse Energy passive. As you see right there, he hits that blue Gojo stretch animation to give himself plus 10 CE at the beginning of the run. But 85 was just the easiest floor for me to test him on. And I'm going to be using this specific team twice in this video. And the reason why is because I kind of like the ult loop strategy on this unit, and I also kind of like doing the break loop strategy. You'll see on Limited Tower Floor 4 in specific that this YUJI kind of excels in break loops, and I think this team is a really solid one for him overall. I was kind of expecting like Miwa and Nanami to initially start running laps around this unit due to people's general perception of YUJI. But his performance was better than I thought it would be. All in all, I think when you really look at this unit, I guess you could say in a vacuum, in like his strongest circumstances, he really can be a demon. Y'all will see once we get like our first general ultimate out, he'll start hitting some pretty heavy numbers. But that's also a little, like a tiny issue, I guess you could say I can have with this unit, is that it takes a bit to really get the show going. Basically, once YUJI hits his first ultimate, it's when you can kind of guarantee that everything is going to start flying by really crazy. But during this run in specific, it was mainly just focusing on ult loops. Miwa and Nanami being able to buff YUJI and Miguel, keeping that up during their ultimate phases, and also doing skill 3 before Miwa and Nanami ult with Miguel, because I don't want to miss out on the stat debuffs for Miwa and Nanami, because I don't want to like skew, I guess you could say skew the results, because despite the fact that this is a YUJI showcase, like if the Nanami and Miwa start popping off, I want to be able to display that alongside YUJI instead of just like being more biased towards the character, even though I do give him some benefit of the doubt during these runs, letting him like kind of spread his wings, so to speak. And once he hits this first ultimate right here, this is where the run kind of falls downward for the boss very, very, very quickly. Because obviously floor 85, it is a snooze fest boss for sure. An absolute like walk in the park for the general player. Talk to anybody about Illusory Tower, you get to floor 85, it isn't anything special. Which is why it's obviously the first floor we're showcasing, because obviously YUJI has to be able to dismantle this like complete snooze fest boss in a reasonable amount of time, because if he didn't, then like imagine what the other stage would be like. And just right there, he had a 10 mil skill 3. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss right there. And then obviously we're setting up the buffs. Nanami's going to self-buff, Miwa's going to buff, and then we're going to do another combo ult. And I'm not sure if it's this run or the run afterwards, but I'm pretty sure I do another skill 3 with Miguel. That's another 8 mil YUJI skill 3. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, do I go back? Actually, no. Okay, so I do make the mistake in this run. So I should have skill 3'd right there for Miwa and Nanami's benefit right there. That was a mistake on my end, but this was also a like first try like test attempt. So this is going to be a little rough around the edges looking back on it. Thankfully, the later runs you will see, I tried to adjust more. So I guess you could say blatantly favor Miwa and Nanami a little bit more. But this team still cleared the floor fast enough where I feel like, okay, if I missed a skill 3 on Miguel, you know, it's not the end of the world, so to speak. And right here, we're going to get another pretty nasty ultimate in. My goat YUJI. Break Demon. Still a very nice, like, I'll say this about this unit. It's a night and day thing if you have Miguel or not, that's all. No Miguel equals a lot of issues, but I also say that's an issue for just blue taijutsu in general, which is why I'm glad as it currently stands, a lot of the really strong meta units that are currently in the game are hybrid adjacent units. Kind of just use a little bit of everything with them and work out just fine. But yeah, the floor is wrapping up right here. Didn't need to do the final combo. I'll have YUJI punch the ball straight in the head. We'll get the final tally, and then after the final tally, we'll go straight to limited tower floor 4, where I will be showing you how YUJI can easily break loop a boss into extermination. Okay, so for the limited tower floor 4 run, it was kind of a little bit of a stress test for this team. This was trying to see if I could take my original format that I did for this run with 0.2 Gojo and applying it to Aloha YUJI, because hey, if we could do the alt loop strategy on 85, I believe this could also work here. And if 0.2 Gojo also body slammed this floor, why not this unit just to test it out? Mind you, what I explained in the original 85 segment of the video applies on this run as well, except I didn't make the mistake of missing out on a skill 3 with Miguel when Nanami and Miwa ults. Another thing to pay very close attention to during this part of the run is YUJI does not Black Flash until his first ultimate, which is a very, very key point of contention about this character. He does not Black Flash, therefore everybody hates him, and trust me, I get it. I do not like it when my Black Flash units do not Black Flash either. I am the guy that sat there and made a ton of green hard sweep videos, and I had to sit there with Season 3 Freeji, and he hated Black Flashing on every team where Green Toto wasn't a thing, so trust me, I understand all of your pain. During this run, I really thought like, I should probably reset, because I just wasn't getting any Black Flashes, and the first combo ult with Miguel and YUJI was not going to get any benefit from the Wreck Bit because I wasn't going to pop it, you know, early, considering that I wasn't going to get the 100% taijutsu increase because he didn't Black Flash. But I'm like, I feel like if I didn't show you guys, like, I guess you can say the downsides of this unit, I feel like I'd be mildly lying to you, and I'm not going to try and push an agenda per se, you know. If my YUJI misses 6 turns worth of Black Flashes, well, 5 turns worth of Black Flashes, then my man misses 5 turns worth of Black Flashes, and we'll just keep that in the video. But the thing is that by this point right here that you're watching, by this turn, even though YUJI is not Black Flash at all, up until this turn that you're going to see, the main boss does not fight back for a single turn for the rest of this entire run. The main boss remains broken the entire fight due to the strategy at hand. YUJI and Miguel do like the bulk of, I wouldn't say the bulk of the damage, but they are doing most of the damage together because Miguel is helping YUJI with his taijutsu increase, and he also has that co-op SP node that is boosting YUJI. Miwa and Nanami are also chunking through the boss's break bar when they're combo ulting, and obviously YUJI is just kind of doing the chef's kiss with his very strong skill 3s, as y'all saw just right there. That was another 10 million damage skill 3. Again, chef's kiss, wonderful. And you'll see the boss is back for this turn. That break bar, it's gone on the same turn as it comes back. And it is my favorite thing about this team. Don't let them fight back. If a boss is annoying you, don't let them fight back. The only issue is that Nanami's just not black flashing during this run. It is crazy when you put Nanami and Yuji together. Both of them decide that they'll take a vacation on the idea of black flashing. That's another 10 mil skill 3. Absolutely monstrous damage right there. And then obviously we're going back into the key points of the alt loop. Let's get Miguel his alt back. Filter on Nanami, where he figures out how to black flash right there. And another black flash from Yuji. And we're going to be dealing a ton of damage right here. Also, take a note at Nanami's health bar. See, when I was right here, I was like, do I skill 2 or do I skill 3? And I realized in order for me to give the full buffs to Nanami and Yuji, I'm going to need to hit that skill 3. So I'm like, there's no way that the minion is really going to take its chances of swinging on Nanami. I mean, Miguel, Miwa, and Yuji, they have more than enough health to take a headbutt from that guy. Come on. But you will see at the end of this turn that Nanami still got targeted, and the rest of the run is basically Nanami living purely on a prayer because, oh boy, he had like 2k health for the rest of this run, and I had to play Protect the President for like the entire end portion so Nanami didn't die, because I was like, this is a really solid run. I do not want to lose this, even after Yuji missing black flashes for the entirety of the intro segment of this run. Still a very, very enjoyable clear. I mean, under more ideal circumstances, I can imagine it'd be even more monstrous. Because again, this is only the A0 performance of this unit. So when you take into consideration that he has 2 more SPs, well, not 2 more, but obviously there's 2 SPs to take into consideration, his ultimate SP and then his passive, things are going to get real wicked when I do my further testing with A1 and A3. And obviously right here, boss isn't fighting back, chilling with a full alt gauge for no reason. We're not letting you get that out. Mainly because Nanami can't handle it. I already know, like, the boss had an opportunity to swing, it'd probably swing right at Nanami. And also now Miwa's just on Protect literally everyone duty, but it's really just like, I don't want to take the risk of Nanami dying, so we're just having Miwa spam skill 2. And then after turn 14, the run ends out. And I end it on Yuji full animation because, yes, for one run, I'm biased. I wanted to see the full animation. Okay, it can't be an anniversary style video if I don't see the full animation at least once. We got another skill 3, no black flash, because why not? And then my guy, my goat, we're gonna do a full animation. And then after this run, you'll be able to see the stat check. All the units really carried their own weight very well. Yuji especially surprised me during this run, for sure. But the final test is the real test, floor 89. Floor 89, in my opinion, is the greatest endurance test for any taijutsu unit that isn't 0.2 Gojo. So we'll be able to see Yuji's performance, and I'll rate how I enjoyed using the unit during that run. So let's go see Yuji's final victory lap being Illusory Tower, floor 89. Okay, so for floor 89, it was really easy. I can't even lie to you. Like I already said in previous videos, if I start the segment at like the team formation screen, it was a first try for the most part. And man, this was kind of a walk in the park for the most part, even with like really bad Black Flash RNG. This team kind of just pulls it all together. I also feel like having 2 healing rec bits kind of really guarantees you're clear. Because like I said beforehand, floor 89 without 0.2 Gojo is a really big endurance test. Like it's kind of a stress test of like, okay, can your units break enough, or are your units durable enough to withstand this boss's ultimates after that 50% threshold, right? That's the annoying part about this boss, that once it drops to 50% HP and lower, it really does just spam ultimates every other turn. But we do have 3 units on the team that deal a considerable amount of damage to make up for it. YUJI being the main one, of course, and his break damage increase makes this run way easier. It's a lifesaver alongside the Rec Bits. I've also had some other attempts afterwards where I tried to use only 1 healing Rec Bit, and the RNG is just really tight, so I didn't really want to go too far in that. When I was doing this clear, I was also just kind of thinking about my very first time clearing this floor with OG Blue YUJI, and just remembering how stressful it was back then to do that clear, and just thinking how, like, wow, like, half a year or more ago, I was sitting on this floor with the OG Blue YUJI, having the most horrendous time possible, and now we have a new Blue YUJI that completely steamrolls this boss at A0, and thankfully we have a unit like Miwa countering and flying out ultimates that also do a ludicrous amount of damage, in comparison to previous team comps like using Blue Inumaki, where yes, his debuffs were highly valued, but he also did no damage, and there also became CE issues either very early on or towards the middle and end of fights. It all kind of depends on how you were built out. And I will say, I have had people ask questions like, why use Miwa, a buff unit, on a debuff stage? And to answer everybody's questions, even though there is a pretty sharp cut to Miwa's buffs, because she's able to counter on this stage, you know, despite the fact there is a cut, she still has a very, very decent amount of buffs going, where it isn't completely butchered into the ground. And on top of that fact, she's also doing a considerable amount of hybrid damage in between. Geto also has a lot of the debuff portion of it figured out. Miguel also has the stat debuffing portion figured out. And having those gap periods where Miwa is able to counter the boss and also damage the boss helps out the run a ton. It also makes the break damage go by way, way faster. It's overall just my favorite way to run Floor 89 now. So if you haven't played Floor 89 using Blue Miwa, you're missing out. It's kind of like my favorite way to run the floor now. For, I guess you could say, general units. I haven't exactly ran it with like 0.2 Gojo, because obviously the old clears I've had using 0.2 Gojo, I ran the stereotypical Geto, Inumaki, Miguel 0.2 teams. But right here is where things get really, really rough, and it kind of just gets rough for any general team, I would say, at this point, because it's you versus the boss's break bar and the boss's alt bar. It's kind of just a speed run. Who's going to get taken out? The boss's break bar or your team? And that's kind of just the main focus you have to have during this run, is just trying to get that break bar out as quickly as possible. Hope that YUJI Black flashes enough so he can get his alt gauge build up, so he can combo alt with Miguel at least a decent amount of time, so you aren't falling behind too much. Because again, the boss ults every other turn, so it's just non-stop pressure the entire fight. And I also could have cleared one turn faster, but I thought it was like a comedian trying to flex later on. So we're going to do a triple ultimate right here, get as close to break as possible. I'm not sure if we broke on this turn or if we broke on the turn afterwards. I did this clear a long time ago in comparison to like all the other stuff I've been recording recently. And obviously the Miwa and Miguel co-op ult is going to restore Geto's alt gauge. Yuji's gonna pull up here, drop a bomb. And we didn't get the break right here, but I mean the boss's health is so painfully low. Oh yeah, this is where my issue came into play. I thought I was hilarious. I was like, you know what? We'll just rely on YUJI only. And then we kind of eat that ultimate there. Geto hit with the health debuff. And it's funny because back in the day when I did have like A0, A1 Geto, man, not even A1, A0 for the most part, dude. A0 Geto was a nightmare for HP. Shout out to everyone that still uses Geto at A0, but man. Oh yeah, and there was this mistake. I probably should have just did skill 1, put Miguel right there, and we would have cleared right here. But I thought it'd be funny and do the skill 3 debuff instead. but YUJI didn't Black Flash, so he completely ruined my day. And Miwa instead took all of the clout. So right there. So yeah, that's the floor 89 clear. Pretty easy 17 turns for me. Pretty consistent as well. But yeah, I'm going to be going into the final A0 unit review. So post commentary J is going to be out. Live commentary J is going to be in. Okay, time for the A0 unit review. So first things first, I feel like the general consensus from the community is that this unit at A0 is mid or trash. And personally, I've used this unit for a very, very long time. I can't say he's mid or he's trash, like at his peak, okay? Now, the issue with YUJI that also falls basically on almost any modern, like pure DPS, because a lot of things that you can take into consideration for the most part is that units that are releasing in the big 2026, if they're DPSs, they have more than just DPS going on in their kit, right? Nanami has the break damage they can increase. He also has the buffs that can happen for the team. You know, Kenjaku has a debuff. Actually, he has multiple debuffs. So he has debuffs in his skill 1 and debuffs in his ultimate. So he's very versatile in that degree. I mean, even if we go back before 2026 or around early 2026 with 0.2 Gojo, like 0.2 Gojo is offering DPS and support options. So YUJI is a strong unit under the ideal circumstances using him in a proper team. But for the general player that doesn't have his most optimal team or even like his loose optimal team, his performance seems subpar. Now, is that an issue of the player? No, that is just an issue with YUJI's core design. YUJI's core design doesn't really fit in the scope of modern releases in Phantom Parade. In my opinion, YUJI's current release feels like a unit from a year to almost like 2 years ago. That's how YUJI feels. He's a really strong, almost year 0 unit, or like, again, I would compare him in terms of like Zone G, where in my old Zone G showcase video, I said when you use Zone G, he's a very selfish DPS. He serves himself the most. He's not looking out really for anybody else on the team. He's there to serve number 1, okay? That's YUJI's game plan. He is number 1. He's the one grinding. He's the one doing all the damage, but he's not supporting his general team. And that's the same thing for Aloha YUJI. The problem with Aloha YUJI is that his team is primarily consisted of limiteds. Blue has a huge limited problem, and it's really, really bad for this unit. Like, if we were to go and look at Blue at the moment, YUJI's best partners at the moment is Miguel. Easily Miguel. Miguel is limited. And mind you, like I've said before, I've said it probably hundreds of times, the average player isn't going to go out and be like, all right, I got to go on my way and summon on Miguel. Even though he's broken, even though his SP made him phenomenal, the average player isn't exactly fiending for Miguel. Especially because the average player now is aware of SP Miwa and SP Nanami, which makes, you know, their need or want for Miguel diminish, even though Miguel is still, in my personal opinion, the greatest option for pure taijutsu-based teams, without a shadow of a doubt. Because I've also experimented off camera with just removing Miguel from the formula and just like, you know, adding maybe Inumaki instead to take his place. And Miguel does a lot for YUJI, but that's the issue. You need other units to really make him shine. So I would say the average free-to-play player would suffer using this unit, and they would have a completely different perception to YUJI than I would, because I have an established box. So, in my personal opinion, is this unit great? Yes. If you can build his ideal team, he is a phenomenal unit. Even if you can partially build his ideal team, he is still an amazing unit. The core issue, however, is that he is not a unit that is going to make or break your box whatsoever. He is simply one of those units that if you are a longtime Phantom Parade player, you're like, you know what? I already got a pretty wicked box, pretty wicked amount of units. Let me just boost it up with somebody also just as strong. He'll fit in that place perfectly. However, in the current scope of the meta, you should be focusing more on 0.2 Gojo, not just purely on like a better DPS standard, but also just on a universal versatility standard. In terms of Gojo, it's also supporting teams while also doing damage, and Gojo can be used in more content than YUJI could be. So, in my personal opinion, should you be summoning for YUJI as a player? It highly depends. It highly depends. If you're a newer player or a beginner, this is a skip for you. Okay? If you are an established player, you know, you have an established box, you have, you know, basically the needed limiteds in the game, I feel like he's definitely worthwhile to use. But, again, heavy but on this. He's not necessary. And that's the same line of logic I've had for every unit release since Mahito. Okay? And that's, again, a core issue with the game in general. Nothing that is releasing is a necessity. All we are doing is just going backwards and just claiming all the units that can already clear pre-existing content, and the rest of the new units that are coming out in the game are just cool additions to the box. So, is A0 YUJI better than the community tried to lead me to think? Of course. I'm going to be honest. The community made me seem like this unit would be like absolute garbage. Like I would have been in tears using this unit. It just simply was that a lot of people weren't using him on his ideal teams, or they weren't exactly understanding the unit, or maybe they just had a lot of bad luck and that led to them not enjoying him. Which, again, you can have that opinion. That's fine. I personally feel like I did enough of A0 content to be able to say that he is still strong under ideal circumstances. Now, under non-ideal circumstances, he becomes relative to other units in his same category, which again leads to just go for 0.2 Gojo. That is all, right? And obviously the dupe system. Like, the game is going to push you to grab those SPs. That's 100% what the game wants you to get. And personally, even though I am a paid player, I don't agree with the system inherently whatsoever. I don't enjoy it at all because it just forces people to whip out their wallets for, you know, things that I don't believe should be held behind a paywall whatsoever. Especially because the gacha rate in this game is so horrendous in the first place. It's definitely not worth it. I mean, you guys seen my track record. I have the worst summon ratio to pull ratio ever. So this does not make me happy at all. Do I like the unit? Yes. Do I think the unit is good? Under ideal circumstances, yes. To the average player that doesn't have, you know, all the units to make him great, not so much. Is it something that I would like to see more in the future? I would not like to see more SP units in the future. I would like to think this will be a one and done type of thing, a real experimental type of moment in the game's history, and we never see it again. But again, I can't control what happens in the game. I can only talk about it. And I will say, A0 YUJI has impressed me. But he may not impress you. So, let me know in the comments down below. Were you surprised by my A0 YUJI's performance on these teams? Did I at least mildly change your mind on the unit? Or does your opinion remain the same? It's fine if it is. Again, I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm just speaking my own personal experience. So let me know in the comments down below. It's been Jay. All right. Like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord server. It's in the channel bio. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers. So hit that sub button. But most importantly, I will see you guys later.